Hello and welcome to Right from the Kickoff, obviously weekly podcast with myself, Joe Wright, and of course joining me as always, partner in crime, William Bayliss. How you doing, Will?
I'm very well, Joe. Lots of interest in international matches, uh, World Cup qualification matches, I should say, that I can't wait to get stuck into.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously going to be interesting to talk about, and obviously just before we get all that started, let's just do a bit of housekeeping. So remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Give us a like, guys. The only way we can grow is if you guys give us a like. So yeah, let's go on to talk about the international football. Let's start with England. It's only right since we're both English fans. How do you feel like they've done in the international break? Will obviously facing Hungary in the first game, Andorra in the second, and of course they're playing Poland tonight. How do you feel like they have done and how they're going to do?
Well, I think we haven't really been tested so far in terms of the match. Like, obviously, the Hungary game was more intense, which we'll get onto, and uh, what threw me off, we'd like to condemn the Hungarian fans, obviously, because it's just not acceptable, is it?
I
But I
mean,
think
yeah, it was disgusting.
But the English lads, fair play to them, they were higher in every sense of the word. And fair play to them. This group of footballers is a real inspiration. And I think I can't praise them enough for the work they do on and off the field.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they're obviously doing a great job, and it's always great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's obviously that. Yeah, I mean, just going on to the Hungary game then. What did you make of the what did you make of the match as a whole? I mean, for me, the first half was a bit of a null and void. It was a bit dull. But then England really stepped it up as you'd expect them to, because let's be honest, they're a better team than Hungary, man for man, by quite a way, and it kind of proved that, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Hungary had a quite a good Euros, to be fair. I think they put a lot of good teams under the cushion. They got some good draws in the Euros, didn't they? But obviously, they didn't get out of the group. But I think they did well in in the Euros, didn't they? So
Yeah, I mean,
it was never going to be an easy test.
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's easy to say look back at it now, but they had a good Euros, and obviously they were kind of supposed to be the whipping boys of the group, and they weren't in the end. They did really well, but if you actually look at how the teams that qualified from that group performed afterwards, you've got an aging Germany side who obviously eventually went out to England, quite comfortably, I might add as well. Um, and then of course France lost to Switzerland in the next round as well, and then Portugal lost to Belgium further down, as well. So the group of death really was the group of death because they all died in the end. But just going back to Hungary, obviously perform well, and I think to be honest, as England fans, we didn't really know what to expect in terms of the football. Obviously, I think we were all expecting the racism and the abuse that they got, which is disgusting now, isn't it? The fact that we're sitting here saying that we were expecting that from Hungary. But I have to say, and I just want to veer away from the football slightly, just going on to the racism and everything. What do you make of the fact that they've been banned from European competitions, but then FIFA allowed them a couple of weeks later, after being banned from these European competitions, for being racist, for throwing cups, and all that sort of stuff, but they're allowed into the World Cup? Surely it should be a ban across all of football and not just specific to the federation in terms of FIFA and UEFA not being on the same page effectively.
Yeah, and 100%. But let's not beat around the bush. England during the Euros should have been banned themselves. So we
No,
can't sit
I
here.
100% agree. Like I'm not. I think all forms of racism, and it'd be very kind of condescending and sort of the irony of it for us to sit here and say that England shouldn't suffer consequences would be disgusting. I mean, the only difference being, and there is no difference in racism. This is not what I'm saying. I mean, the difference in the match and kind of the abuse that was felt towards the England players was the entire stadium. I mean, England's issues, you could genuinely say it was a minority. I don't think you could say for the Hungary game that it was a minority, it was a majority. And that's the worrying thing. Not just the worrying thing. Obviously, it's worrying all around. But I mean, the Hungary game, I've never seen anything like it, mate. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, could not believe it.
I'm surprised England players stayed on the pitch. To be fair,
I think it's an interesting one actually, mate, because I think if you look at a lot of the pundits and even the coaching staff and stuff, a lot of the black players, Raheem Sterling, Jadon Sancho, Bukayo Saka, obviously the three that were some of them that were subject to getting the racist abuse. Of course, Marcus Rashford was in that, but of course he's injured at the moment. But I think they've almost gotten used to it, which is sad. Is not the way it should be, of course. But I think they've kind of learned to rise above it and not let the racists win. Which I think in that regard, that just shows you how strong those players are. But it's disgusting that we've had to let that get to the point where Raheem Sterling is just kind of, he's obviously looking bemused. He's looking at the ref. Are you going to do anything? And he's like, okay, no. Well, I'm just going to carry on playing. And I was so happy for him when he scored, because I think it was, for the Hungary fans, it was probably the worst player to score because obviously the racist abuse. But I just love his celebration, and obviously the people's celebration as well. We know. Special shout out to Declan Rice, Jack Grealish as well.
They're amazing
from the cup. I really love those images. But yeah, it was disgusting. Obviously, 4-0 win. Now let's go on to, what do you think of the Andorra match? Obviously that happened on Sunday night. It was always going to be an easy win. We said that before the game. But what did you think?
Obviously, that we made 11 changes for that match, and I think obviously Lingard scored a brace, fair play to him. But you expect these players, you expect to be 4, 5, 6-0. The only problem is when you're playing these teams, it's not as easy just scoring all these goals because they're just going to sit back and defend the whole game. So it does make it a hard game because of that. Because it's like playing against a brick wall in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's basically, if you think about it, when we talk about the low block in the Premier League, it's basically that, but even more intense. In terms of, they know that they can't match up man for man. They know they can't play football basically against. Because let's be honest, Andorra, a lot of the players are part timers, so they know they can't play against England. So their tactics are just to sit back, like you say, but it does make it hard to break down. But I think we had something like 85% possession in the end, and realistically, the 15% possession was kind of free kicks that Andorra were winning, and stuff like in their half. So it was always an easy match. Kind of changed a little bit when Kane and Mount and Grealish came on.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is England, they only had 6 shots on target out of 20. Well, no, I think it was more than 20 actually. But I think they do need to work on getting them on target. But I appreciate a lot of them were probably from distance because of the block, so they had to shoot from further out.
I think what I noticed, and this is just my kind of opinion on it, is for me, I kind of thought that it was we didn't pass the ball quick enough. I think if you are going to get through a team that's defending like they are, you've got to pass the ball quicker. We tended to, in the first half especially, we were dawdling with it. The passing only kind of sped up when Mount and Grealish came on.
Yeah.
I have to say I did feel very sorry for Bamford because I don't think he especially did anything wrong. He just didn't get the opportunity because he was making runs, but the ball just wasn't coming to him at the right time. But of course, because we were moving the ball so slow in the first half. So I did feel, and I thought it was a good game to get Bamford in, but it was always going to be a difficult game because obviously they were going to sit like they were going to sit, but also if he didn't score, you'd be like, oh, that was a poor game for Bamford. Where actually, if you look at his performance, it's because we weren't moving the ball quick enough while he was on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. You have to make the move, tire them out, and I think that's why we scored late on because we tied them out, didn't we?
And especially when you've got players like Mount and Grealish coming on, who we know how dynamic Grealish is. He can go past players. especially of the Andorra kind. And he actually made a couple of runs and made a bit of a difference for the Mount penalty. I think it was a Grealish Mount pass. But obviously, Mount won the penalty. And again, Mount picks up those pockets of space very nicely as well, and that's what made the difference.
Yeah, 100%. So let's move on to the game tonight. So England, Poland. Obviously, the Poland manager came out and said that he only really has Lewandowski who can cause any issues. So when he's out, they're in big trouble. But you expect England to win this game tonight, wouldn't you?
Is that Lewandowski out? Did you say?
No. I was like, then Poland will be a completely different team.
Yeah, you would, but I will say this. I think for England now, I'm gonna say it. I mean, obviously we want to win the game tonight. I mean, if we win the game tonight, the group's wrapped up. But if we lose the game tonight, we'll still go on and win the group.
Yeah, because
for
Poland
England,
drew to Hungary, didn't they?
Yeah. For England, it's not a massive deal tonight. I think they can almost look at it as a bit more of a competitive friendly. Obviously, we want to go and win, and I think we will. But I don't think if we get a draw, I don't think it's the end of the world because we're pretty much qualified now, regardless of what the result is tonight. Because I expect us to beat Hungary, Albania, and then of course the two minnows and Andorra and San Marino. So
yeah.
regardless of what happens, Poland are arguably going into this group were our biggest threats. So I think I'm not saying play for a point. I don't think they will do that at all. I expect us to win, but I'm not going to be like, oh God, it's the end of the world if we lose. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we're pretty much already qualified, which is nice. To halfway through the group, you think you're already qualified. Hopefully we win tonight, and it's all wrapped up then, isn't it? So
yeah, pretty much because we'll be 8 points clear.
8 points clear of Poland. Can't see Albania doing anything, which will be the next. They lost. Hungary lost to Albania as well. So now England are 7 points in front of Hungary already, with them to play still. So tonight it's all on tonight just to qualify for me. I think if we win, we've qualified. So.
Yeah, 100%. So let's move on to the other countries across the channel. So let's start with. You have to feel sorry for Republic of Ireland because they're 1-0 up going to the 85th minute. But that man, Ronaldo comes, scores 2 goals, 2 bullet headers.
Yeah, it was actually, he scored on the 89th minute and then 92 minutes, obviously, plus added time. And obviously took the record for the most international goals in the men's game ever scored. Because obviously you've got to give the respect to the women. I think there's a couple of international goal scorers higher than that. But yeah, the men's game, he's now the highest scorer. And I think, do you know what it showed me? Just going on to United, it showed people that everyone's like, oh, I wonder how he's going to do. I think it showed that he's still got that goal scoring instinct.
He's still got it, especially that aerial threat as well.
He's gonna be a machine in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So obviously disappointing for Republic of Ireland. To be honest, though, they haven't got a lot of players coming through, have they? And it's showing. When no disrespect, but when Seamus Coleman is your best player, I think Roy Keane said this once. When he's your best player, that kind of shows you the strength and depth that you've got in the squad. Seamus Coleman's a very good player, but he's a good squad player. You don't want him to be your best player.
Yeah, but I just want to say fair play to the Republic of Ireland goalkeeper for making that save. He is a young kid, so he'll be having high expectations now coming through. So hopefully that might help them out going into the future a bit more.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the thing is with a lot of the home nations, and we've got to realise this, they don't have as much kind of choice as England do. Obviously, with all the home nations, we're the biggest home nation in terms of population, so we've got a bigger pool of players naturally. Also, our players are more exposed to Premier League action and stuff like that. So you kind of look at the contests and stuff. So it's not really a surprise that the other home nations do struggle to qualify for these tournaments. But as we're seeing, they are getting stronger in obviously Wales and Scotland qualifying for the Euros. And they've got a good chance to qualify for the World Cup. And to be honest, I hope they do. So let's see what happens.
Indeed. The next game, what happened was Denmark, Scotland. Obviously, Denmark won that one 2-0. We saw their ability during the Euros, and they were always going to be favourites going into a game. So no real surprise there for Scotland, wasn't it? But across the board for Scotland, they will have their heads raised up high. Obviously, they beat Moldova and Austria as well last night. So they're doing relatively well, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, they needed to, especially coming off the back of that Denmark loss, which, to be honest, I think most people would have marked down as a loss because we know that Denmark are very well organised and have got very good footballing players. I think they're very good as a team unit, so it's no kind of great shake to losing that. And I think actually the Moldova game, you were kind of thinking, oh God, here we go, sort of thing, because they should be beating Moldova. It wasn't an impressive performance, but then of course beating Austria last night. What was the score, Will? Sorry.
It was 1-0 in the end, and I think that puts them into second place. So I think they're in good stead to qualify at this point. Obviously,
Yeah,
Israel and Austria will be the closest rivals to them.
it makes it interesting. Obviously, we've got half the group to go. If Scotland can qualify, I think this will be a bigger achievement than it would be for the Euros, especially qualifying for back-to-back tournaments. So actually, that result against Austria has made this a really good international break for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And they're back in the hunt, so that's great.
Yeah, and now let's look to Wales. So Wales beat Belarus 3-2, which was a really good result for them in the end. I know you could argue they should be beating Belarus, but it was a hard-fought win with Bale scoring a hat-trick. I think Bale just helping them out time and time again, and I think that's a great result for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was two late goals again coming on because they got a penalty. They obviously had two penalties, scored them both. Belarus got themselves in front, 2-1 in front. Wales went 1-0 up, got themselves 2-1 in front. Belarus, and then Bale scored a penalty, and then a late goal at the end, sort of again injury time goal to get them the win.
Yeah,
It was a massive result for them. They needed that.
they did, but fair play to them because they've only played 3 games in the group and they're in third place with Belgium, Czech Republic, Wales, Belarus, and Estonia. So they're really tough ask because you know how good Czech Republic can be. I think why not? Because if they win against Estonia tonight, they'll jump into second place with the game in hand.
They should beat Estonia.
Yeah, you'd expect so, wouldn't you?
You think they would, but I think the thing is with your Scotland, your Wales, and your Ireland, is they often tend to turn up against the bigger boys in the group, and then they get a shock result, like against the Moldova, for example. Scotland and Wales have kind of, especially World Cup qualifying, not so much the Euros recently, but the World Cup qualifying, they've been kind of guilty of kind of slacking off against the teams they should beat. Because let's be honest, Scotland and Wales, against in a lot of competitive matches that they play, they're not used to being the favourites. So I think psychologically, I think it is a thing. Do you know what I mean? I think it is a kind of, all right, okay, so we've now got to take charge of this game because we are the better team. And again, I'm not saying that, but the teams that do play, it's either a level playing field, so it's a 50-50 match, or they are going to be, kind of playing on the counter attack. So it's the difference in tactics that they've got to kind of exploit. So that's kind of where you see them slip up a bit. But hopefully, again, they can qualify, and good luck to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And let's not forget about Northern Ireland as well, because they beat Estonia, as you'd expect, and Lithuania 4-1 as well. So that'll stand them in good stead, although they aren't doing so well in the group. Having said that, I think my Alps went red. So they have 4 points, I should say. They've drawn 1-1, and lost 1, with Italy, Switzerland, Bulgaria, and Lithuania. So I think that'll be a tough ask for Northern Ireland to qualify.
Yeah, it will be, and I think if you're going to say one home nation, you definitely can't see qualifying. It's probably them, and Republic of Ireland. To be honest, I think they will both struggle. Whereas you can see Scotland and Wales both qualifying still. They're still in the hunt to qualify. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
So shall we move on to the Premier League fixtures? Obviously, the
yeah.
Premier
Let's
League
go for it.
is
Let's
back
go for it.
this weekend. So let's run through the game, shall we? So we have Crystal Palace, Spurs. Now, again, Crystal Palace are a bit of a... We're still not sure about them this season, are we? Because the new manager, obviously, will at last. But
I think
Tottenham are in a great run of form, aren't they? So
I think it's going to take Vieira and his team time to bed in. I don't think you can expect Crystal Palace to be firing on all cylinders straight away. Do you know what I mean? You just can't. So I think it is going to take them a little bit of time, and also we also predicted kind of mid to lower table finish for them. So they are going to lose a few games this season, we would imagine.
yeah, for sure.
Tottenham have started well. I'd expect with the start they've made, obviously you don't know how they're going to react after the international break. You'd expect Tottenham to win the game. But again, the Premier League's full of surprises, so you never know. You can't count off anyone in this league. So
100%. So what score are you going for, Joe?
I'm going to go. They've won 1-0 every time. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to say that Spurs are going to win 2-0.
And I've just wrote down 2-0 as well. I think it's going to be 2-0 as well. So, but I think we're agreed upon that Tottenham will probably win this game.
Yeah.
But you never know. Moving on to the next game, Arsenal Norwich, a bit of a bottom of the table clash, isn't it? How do you see this one going?
It's a massive game for Arsenal.
It's a relegation 6-pointer, isn't it?
No, well, honestly, I think it's nervous time for Arsenal because it's a game that you'd expect them to win. You would, but don't know how they're going to react because they've got to win it. They've got to win it. The manager's job's on the line. I think if they lose this, I can't see Arteta. Even I can't see Arteta staying if they lose.
He's had enough time now, surely.
Yeah, well, he has. I mean, everyone's saying, "Oh, it's only 4 games." 3-4 games into the season. It's like, well, he's been there for a season and a half. Finished 8th twice, which isn't good enough for Arsenal Football Club. Let's be honest. And now they're sitting bottom of the league, and everyone's like, "Oh, you need to give him time." Yeah, what? Give him time for what? I think, like I keep saying, I think if he was in most big clubs, he'd have gone ages ago.
Yeah, for sure. It just shows
but,
what Arsenal are at the moment.
Yeah, but I think they will win this game. The pundit in me is saying they'll win this game. The fan in me wants Norwich to win. But I'll probably go 3. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Arsenal still have the capability of conceding a goal. So
I'm gonna go. I can see your logic, and I'm tempted to say Arsenal win, but I'm gonna go 1-1. I can just see it going 1-1, just because Arsenal aren't in the best of form. I think Norwich have played relatively well. I think they've been unlucky at times, but I'm going 1-1.
And I think also you look at the teams that Norwich have played. I mean, you could say the same for Arsenal, but those are the type of teams Arsenal want to compete against. But obviously, like I said in the last podcast, with it being Liverpool, Man City, and Leicester, 3 of the top 5 last year, it was always going to be a difficult start. And also Arsenal now, and they need to win. And I think, but Arsenal need it more. I think fans would expect Norwich to lose this game, so I think Arsenal do need it more. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal, and obviously you've gone 1-0.
Yeah, and the next game I think it's going to be really, really interesting. The game is Brentford Brighton, and I just think this is going to be a cracker, don't you, Jay?
Yeah, I've put Ivan Toney back in my team. So obviously we'll see what happens there. But it's only because I'd look at who everybody was playing, and I've actually got quite a versatile team this year, so I can mix and match. But yeah, I've put him back in. But I think this is going to be, like you said, I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think both teams play similar similar types of styles as well, with kind of possession football based. If you look at Brighton, they were actually one of the higher teams with possession last season, and we know that Brentford like to play with the press and possession as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game goes.
I think it could go either way, couldn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go. Is it home or away for Brentford?
Brentford at home.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford. Then I think their stadium's going to be rocking. They've started all right. I think they'll get the 3 points. I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford.
I've actually gone 2-2. Joe.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we are sitting in a kind of time where either of those results could happen. So
yeah, like you wouldn't be like confused if that was the result.
To be honest, as well, you wouldn't be confused if or kind of dismayed if Brighton went on and won it as well. So
yeah, exactly. So either or for me, to be fair. That's why I'm gone 2-2.
It's a difficult one to call, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah. Next one, big game for you. Obviously, probably one of your toughest games of the season. Leicester, Man City. What are you thinking, Joe?
I always back my team, but when it comes to this game, I can't back my team. I've got to go for the points on the door for this because I can't see us getting a win against Man City. I can't even see us getting a draw. No, I can't see us getting a draw. No. I think Man City, even though we're at home, I think with the way we've started and with the way Man City played us at their place last season, I just can't see us. And they'll want to get revenge back for Charity Shield. Obviously, I want us to get a result, and I'm always hopeful of that. But I think Man City are probably the only team. If we get a result, I'm like, that's bonus points. Do you know what I mean? It's bonus points.
And you have to think in a Charity Shield game or Community Shield, it's called now. Man City had a second string 11, really, didn't they? So I think this would be a completely different test for you.
I know what I want to go for, but I'm going to be kind to my team. I'm going to go 3-0 Man City.
Oh, is that being kind, Joe?
Yeah, no, that's not being kind. That's what I want to go for. I think the reason I'm going for that, mate, just to kind of just the way we've started. We've not really passed the ball well enough. We're lucky to be on 6 points, like I've said. So I think you never know with Leicester. They can turn up to these games though, so I might be completely wrong, and I hope I am completely wrong, of course. I mean, they beat Man City 5-2 last season, so it's not like they're not capable. But I just don't see anything but a Man City win. So 3-0 Man City.
That's fair. I've gone 4-1 Man City. I think Leicester probably score, but I think Man City will just blow them out of the park.
Yeah. I think, like I say, I'll back my team in every other game. I'll even go for a win against Liverpool. I'll go for a win against United. But Man, I can't do it because I'm just throwing away points, I think.
Yeah. Would you say the same thing if Leicester were playing Chelsea as well? Because I think Chelsea would beat you as well.
I think Chelsea's a beatable side. I think they are, because the only reason I say that is just because Man City will pass you to death, whereas Chelsea play a little bit differently. And what I'm saying is that you do tend to get the ball a tad more against Chelsea.
But that could open you up.
No. Of course it could. But I prefer Leicester City's matchup against Chelsea than I do. That's not to kind of say that Chelsea. I still think Chelsea are massive favourites. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer the matchup against Chelsea.
I see what you mean now. Moving on to Man United Newcastle. Now, over the years, this has had some fantastic games going on. Do you remember Newcastle being 2-0 up at half time? It ended up being 3-2 to Man United. It's happened several times in the past. What are you thinking, Joe?
I can't see anything but a United win, especially if Ronaldo starts, which you'd assume he would because he's been playing in international duty, so he's obviously fit enough.
And Ronaldo conveniently got a yellow card, so he was out for the last game, so we could go to Man United early. I noticed that, did you?
Yeah, I think it's all to do with the prep, isn't it, and everything. I think he might have done that on purpose. But yeah, I think I can't see anything but a United win. I can't see Newcastle scoring, if I'm going to be honest.
No, I can't either.
I'm going to go 2-0 United.
2-0 United.
Yeah.
I think it'll be slightly more. I'm going to go 4-0 United. Ronaldo hat-trick.
See, I want I want to put him in my team, but he costs too much.
Yeah, it's 12.5, isn't
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So,
Moving on to Southampton, West Ham. Obviously, West Ham are in fine form this season. I can't see this being any other but West Ham win. How about you, Joe?
yeah, West Ham win. I think I'll still keep saying it. I honestly think Southampton are in trouble this season. West Ham are kind of they've started off really well. Obviously, wins against Leicester, draw against Crystal Palace, but we're still scoring goals, playing free flowing football. I can't see. I'm gonna go 3-1 West Ham for this one.
3-1 West Ham. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3-1 West Ham as well. You know, sorry, Joe.
No, don't apologise. You go for what you want to. See,
Oh no, it's great. I'm gonna go 3-0 West Ham.
You're gonna go. I can see Southampton scoring.
Yeah, because of the free flowing part. Yeah, I do see that as well. So Watford Wolves. Now, I think this is going to be quite a good game as well. You know.
It's difficult games to call this weekend, isn't it? Because apart from the Man City Leicester game, there's quite a few similar matchups.
Yeah, but for me, Wolves. I've played really, really good football, but they can't bang a goal into that. I know we spoke about it last week, time and time again. Their expected goals is like 4 a game, and they just can't score one. It's just you have to feel sorry for them in a way, but it's kind of their own doing.
I think that's going to break this weekend now. I think they'll score this weekend.
Yeah, but Watford has also started quite well as well, haven't they?
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go for a goal fest on this one.
Do you think the floodgates will open?
Yeah, well, no, I'm not floodgates, but I'm going to go 3-2 Wolves.
Oh, that'll be a good game. Yeah, I see that as well. But I'm going to go, I'm going to go 2-2. Tesman 2-2.
Nice one. Nice one.
You like that one, Joe? Okay, moving on to Chelsea Villa. Now, again, this won't be a walkover for Chelsea, but I think Chelsea will be favourites going into this game.
Yeah, Chelsea have got to be favourites, and I think they will win. I think again it's going to be a tight game. That I don't see Chelsea blowing Villa away, like they have done some other teams. I'm gonna go 2, although conceding. What do I go for? I'm gonna go 2-0 Chelsea, just because I was gonna go 2-1, but I just can't see them conceding a goal, to be honest.
Yeah.
Only because of how tight the defence is, and realistically, they only conceded a penalty against Liverpool and then managed to stop them with 10 men. So
yeah, that is true. Though, for that reason, I'm going to go 3-1. No, I'm going to go 3-0.
You're going to go 3-0. I was going to say for that reason. I was like, you just said.
And for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah.
So moving on to arguably another massive game. Leeds Liverpool. Obviously, Leeds haven't started that well. Liverpool, you could argue some of the performance have been a little bit shaky. What are you thinking, Joe?
It's difficult. It's a difficult one, this one, because I think Leeds are a team that you can never call from week to week. They're either going to be scintillating and just a joy to watch, or they're going to get smashed. So it could be if they're as open as they were against United, this could be 3 or 4-0. But if they're kind of resolute, it depends. Obviously, if Calvin Phillips comes back into side, which again he's been playing international duty, so you'd expect him to. I don't think they'll concede as many goals. I'm gonna go 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna go 3-3.
Nah. I think you're way off the mark there, mate. I can't.
You
see
never
that
know.
happening.
Crazy things could happen in this fixture.
I can't see that happening.
I know it. I'm just trying to go a bit wild.
I think
I'm trying to regain my points back.
Yeah, no, but I was going to say the only reason I'm in front is because you have a couple of kind of curveball results in there. The only reason I'm like 3 or 4 points in front overall at the moment is because you do go for the curveball.
Go hard or go home, right, Joe?
Yeah,
It's early days. I'm trying to go for it early on and hopefully I can recoup it later on.
so that you're not sort of 20 to 30 points down later on in the season.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to Everton Burnley, what you thinking, Jay?
Everton Burnley, I can't see anything but an Everton win. I'm gonna go 2-1 Everton. I think Burnley will score. I'll go 2-1 Everton.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go the same, Joe.
Yeah.
2-1, and I think that's a fair result. And those are our predictions for this week. Make sure if you have any of your own predictions, please comment them down below on either our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can write it underneath on our YouTube comment spot section. So over to you, Jay.
Nice one. Right, okay, so obviously this section we would go into our players a week, but since it's been international break, we're not going to do that. So we go straight on to Joe asks, Will tells, and it's going to be very topical this week. Obviously, we've already spoke about it, but I feel like it's very prevalent at the moment in the game, so it needs to be done. Right, so you are in charge now, Will. So this is kind of a scenario question for you. You're in charge of kind of combating racism within the game. And you're given kind of, I don't know, £10 million to put something together or to try and get people to understand the racism within the game. What do you do differently, or how do you go about banning these countries or banning these football clubs, or how do you go about it? Because I feel like the reason I'm asking you this question is because, like I say, I feel like we are getting to a point now where I'm getting used to seeing racism live on TV, which is not okay. Like, I think it's getting worse. Do you stop? And I can't believe I'm saying this because I agree with it and I agree with the movement. But do you stop the knee? How do you go about it? Because I think it is getting worse.
First of all, I wouldn't stop the knee.
I wouldn't either. Just so we're clear.
Yeah,
I wouldn't stop it.
and also having a white guy in charge of it probably isn't the best idea. It's all about inclusion. We personally haven't experienced that because obviously we have white privilege, which is a whole different topic. Well, not different topic, but a whole different conversation. So first of all, I would get multiple people from multiple different backgrounds and talk about their experiences, because I think it's important about education as well. Because this isn't just a football issue, this is a societal issue. But that being said, governments and people are all about money. If you take the revenue streams away, then they'll stop doing it, won't they? It's as simple as that. If you ban them, if you charge them more money, that has proved that hasn't really helped. But if you take away different sporting events, maybe not just football, like you see other examples of in other sports where that happens. So maybe it needs to be across the board. Take something away if a country's done something wrong. Like, for example, in Qatar, for example, I know this isn't racism, but because people have died over there, they should have just stopped the World Cup, and then they won't be making any money from that, will they? So it's all about money at the end of the day. I don't know what you think, Joe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's, at the end of the day, if you've got money, you want to keep that money, don't you? A lot of the time, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to greed. And when people say that, oh, the two aren't connected, it's very much clear that it is connected. And they're worried about money and stuff. I think the issue is as well with the taking the knee, for example. So we're going to go back right down to the basics of it all. And people getting booed, and I see on social media people saying, "Oh, the knee's a bunch of, it's rubbish," all this sort of stuff. I feel like that is people don't understand it. I keep seeing time and time again people saying, oh, politics hasn't got a place in football. Again, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. This isn't a political thing. This is people standing up for equality, effectively. And if you boo it, you're not understanding it. And to be honest, you've quite clearly not done your research into the subject. And I think the thing is there's quite a lot of people, especially in football, and I'm not meaning to kind of, tie everyone with the same brush, but it's just a lack of education, isn't it? I think realistically, as society, we need to go back into the education system and educate people properly.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? I think I'm one of those people. For example, just veering off football completely, but when obviously statues and stuff were ripped down, and stuff like that. In Bristol for the slave traders and stuff like that. I would definitely, I wouldn't have done that. I think that was a bad thing to do. What needs to happen there is those statues need to be put into museums and to be basically pointed out at what they've done. What have they done? Can we educate people? Why is this person now being kind of chastised for racism? You know what I mean? Use those slave traders in the past, and it's the same sort of thing. Use the education system within football so kids upwards can start to learn again that racism isn't okay. I think that's the issue. And you look at all these football fans now. They're saying, "Oh, it was all right when I was a kid." Yeah, right, it might have been, but it was never okay in society. Just because it was okay for you to do it at the time, it was never okay. You just learn racism is a learned behaviour. You know what I mean? And I think
no one's born racist, are they?
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I think just going back to the football scenario there's football's got a stigma anyway of being a bit rowdy. We haven't got any kind of gay footballers coming out because they're fearful of abuse. Obviously black players are still getting abuse in this country, as we know. So it needs a massive overhaul, to be honest. It starts with the education system.
Yeah, 100%. And I can put it better myself, Joe. Make sure if you have any opinions on that, please comment down below. We would love to hear your thoughts on the topic, wouldn't we, Joe?
Of course we would. And like I said, there's going to be a topic every week that Will's not going to know about. And feel free to discuss it down below in the comment section.
Okay. And make sure you also like us on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get some more of our podcasts.
Definitely. All right, guys.